What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Wedding Planning Podcast. I'm your co-host, Monica.
And I'm your other co-host, Amanda.
And we have a very special guest with us today. We have Irina from Tsarina Gems. Sorry if I said that wrong. So Irina, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yes. So, hi, my name is Irina. I'm the founder of Tsarina Gems.
Close, okay.
It's okay, close enough. It's a hard word. But yeah, and I'm the founder of Tsarina Gems, and I work with clients one-on-one to create unique, beautiful, one-of-a-kind custom engagement rings, something that they're not going to find, online or the jewelry store kind of next door. I'm also a certified gemologist, which basically means a gemstone and diamond specialist. So when we're creating your custom engagement ring, we can always talk about different options that are available, and I can tell you as much or as little as you want about each option, each gemstone that's available, to really find a stone that speaks to you.
Amazing. So how did you become a gemologist? Like, how did you land here? I'm just so curious.
Yeah, it's actually a bit of a random story. I completely fell into it. I actually I grew up in England, and I went to school and university there, and I went to university for business. I came to Toronto after I graduated, and I was just sort of looking for a job, and I ended up getting like a marketing assistant job that happened to be for a Canadian diamond wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
Which was like totally random. I didn't know anything about it. And I sort of was, doing a lot of different admin work for them. And then I really sort of got interested in the diamonds and gemstones, found out about the gemology school that's located in the States that you can, you can study online with, and you go and you do all your exams there. So I ended up just, again, falling into it, going back to school, essentially working and studying at the same time. And yeah, just getting my diamond diploma first, then my jewelry diploma, then doing the colored gemstones. And then you sort of once you do all that, you become a certified gemologist.
I didn't even know that was a job, to be honest with you. So cool. Do you source all the gems yourself, or you more like work with the clients to build their engagement rings?
I do, yes. So I have previously worked in different wholesale, mainly like business to business. So we would sell gemstones to different jewelers, basically, who were then creating custom pieces for the clients. So I have that network that I've built over the years of, different diamond suppliers, gemstone suppliers, different jewelers. I don't know if people really realize how many, people are involved in creating an engagement ring or any custom jewelry piece, really. So you have, the people who you source the gemstones from. I mainly source gemstones from here in Toronto, from the places I actually used to work with.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, because I know they'll be ethically sourced. I have that relationship with my suppliers. And then we work with different setters and polishers and CAD designers, and there's all sorts of different people that are involved that I've personally worked with before. So then it's nice to have that connection. But yeah, so I essentially curate the project, and I work with people who are great at what they do, and I sort of curate the project and get everything organized. So then my clients don't have to worry about going to different places for different things.
That's so cool. I actually didn't know how much went into all of that. So before we jump into like all the formal questions, tell me about a brief overview of like the start to finish kind of process on like your end of creating that like custom piece. I'm so curious.
Yeah, so a lot of people first come, I'm sure you do as well, with a Pinterest board or something that they've created, and you have a bajillion pictures on there. You're trying to kind of locate some sort of common ideas, and you sort of really talk to the client and find out what it is that they're looking for. And again, because I work a lot with engagement rings, but also with custom jewelry, and I really try to promote women getting themselves jewelry and kind of not waiting to receive it as a gift. So it depends who I'm working with. So if it's perhaps a lady who comes over, she's looking for something for herself. Sometimes it's a partner looking for an engagement ring. Sometimes it's a surprise. Sometimes couples come together. So it really kind of depends on the project. But we essentially first, it's always a free consultation that we just chat about what it is that they're looking for, and just to find out if we're the right kind of fit for each other. And once we decide to work together, we then really start sort of sourcing the diamonds or the gemstones, or both, if they haven't necessarily decided what they're looking for. Some people are very specific about what they want. They might want a specific diamond. They've done their research, you know, and they would come to me, they really have a very specific thing in mind. And I then source the diamonds or the gemstones for them. I usually do about 3 to 5 stones to kind of show them, because I don't also want to overwhelm them with too many choices. So then usually, you know, and then we sort of get kind of feedback, what it is that they're thinking about these options. If, you know, if they pick out a stone that they love, then we start building a custom design around the stone. So if it's custom, usually you choose the stone first, and then you kind of build the ring around it to make sure all the measurements fit and stuff like that. So then again, if there's something that, you know, they haven't you know, maybe thought about making, you know, a sapphire ring, or maybe they've sort of changed my mind halfway through, then we can really source other stones as well. Then when we go into the design process, we usually do a CAD design that is you know, done by a professional CAD designer and a jeweler, and then we really talk about the design itself. We see what it's going to look like first on the computer before you actually give me the go ahead and sort of really finalize it. So then we, you know, you go through sort of like, oh, I wanted maybe a halo, or maybe, you know, once you actually see what it looks like, you don't want the halo anymore, and then you want to add maybe diamonds on the side, maybe you want to change the metal color. So it's really all done while it's still in the CAD design process. You can still make those changes, and once you okay the design, then we really start creating it, and then I just hand it over to the jeweler, who then creates the piece.
Wow, that's so cool. That's such an intricate like process. There's so many steps for it. Do you have like a storefront or online store or something, or everything is custom that you work with?
So the majority of what I do is custom. I don't have a storefront, and that's another reason. Sort of, most of the time I either meet people here at my home, which is nice, because then you know, a lot of the clients I actually either previously know them, or they're kind of friends of friends, or I do a lot of referrals. So then a lot of the people I work with, I actually somehow know them. So then, you know, I'm obviously comfortable having them in my home. I think they exactly. And, you know, and people love that. We just come over, you know, we'll have like a cup of tea on my sofa, just talk about gemstones. So it's a little bit, you know, sort of less intimidating than, for example, going into a store, because I think there's a lot of people, you know, been in a situation where they come to the store and they kind of, when you sort of on opposite sides of the counter, and it just creates this barrier, and it's not comfortable for some people, right? Or if you go into, you know, some I know wholesalers that will meet clients, you kind of go in, and it's sometimes it's a very weird looking office, and just looks at an office, and you kind of just like, what's happening here? So it's, you know, it's nice to kind of welcome people to my home, or we'll meet at a different location if they prefer. Yes, and then I decided that, you know, some people don't want to go through the custom process. I've actually created a small ready-to-wear collection that I have on my website that people can choose from, you know, or even if it's, you know, a spontaneous engagement, they just want to buy a ring, take it home and propose sort of thing, they can do that as well. Or another service that I offer is the semi-custom process, which is, you know, if they perhaps saw something online that I've previously done on my website or on my Instagram, and they want to sort of put their own spin on it. So we're using the same design, but we're putting different gemstone with changing maybe the metal color. So there's like a semi-custom option as well.
Oh my gosh, I love it. There's so many. This is so interesting for me. I like know nothing about the industry or how it works. So yeah, I love
Sounds
it.
like the options are endless though.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump into, you know, the formalities, I guess. Where should couples start? Like when ring shopping, what do you suggest? Like what's, you know, it's a lot. It's kind of like wedding planning, you know, you get there's a lot to look at on Pinterest. You don't know where to start. You're not sure what you like. Where do you suggest couples start?
Yeah, and that's a good question, because I think, you know, everybody gets really excited about the idea of getting engaged, but then they don't actually know where to start, right? And I think a great place to start is actually go out and try some rings on. Even if you've decided that you're going to go with a custom jeweler or a private jeweler to work with, I think it's still a good idea to just go down to your local jewelry store and just try anything on, just to see what it looks like. Because I think sometimes we have an idea, and I had maybe again on the Pinterest board, we have certain ideas, but you put on that, you know, round diamond engagement ring on, and you just suddenly realize like, I actually don't like the round shape, or, you know, actually I prefer an oval shape or an emerald cut, or maybe a specific kind of Art Deco, you know, ring, or maybe like a vintage inspired ring that you like. So it's good to try it on. Even again, as I said, if you try to then find a jeweler later on, you can do that as well. I think also talking about the budget is an important thing. I'm sure with you guys as well. I know it's not the most romantic subject to people just get kind of a bit weirded out by the idea. But, and again, I think if for those who just have, like an unlimited budget and it's not a thing for them, then for sure, you might not need to. But for most of us, I think people do need to talk about it just to keep the expectations kind of on the same page. And again, if you have no idea, it's still like a ballpark. You still have a ballpark when you go shopping for maybe, a house or a wedding dress or whatever it is. You still know what kind of budget you'll be looking at, which then also will help me as a jeweler to then, point you in the right direction and make the correct suggestions rather than just overwhelm you with like all the options and then it just kind of goes nowhere. So I think, yeah, try some stuff on and talk about the budget.
Yeah, I think those are good. Even like myself, like I was like, I want a really thin band and like a lot, like a high set diamond. And I tried that on and I was like, that looks horrible, like horrible on my hands. Like I would say I have like larger hands. Like I don't have very like dainty hands. So all of those look so bad on me. So I'm so glad that we, went in and tried them on because yeah, I was like, oh, this is it. That's it. You can go get that one. Wrong.
And I was the opposite. I was the Pinterest girl and I was completely blind. I was like, oh, this is exactly what I want. And it ended up working in my favor, thank goodness.
Yeah. And I think that's that's another thing too to think about, right? It's finding what's right for you. Every person and every couple is very different. So I think obviously, as the couple talks about, I know that sometimes they choose to be a complete surprise and, the bride to be is kind of completely unaware. And that's also, I've worked with clients like that as well. So it just really depends on, just figuring out what is right for you. And if you don't know, then it's actually also a good place to start. So, it's useful to know what you like, you don't like, but it's also sometimes better to start from a clean slate.
Of course. Yeah. So what are your thoughts then on designing a ring together as a couple?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, as I said, personally, I'm a huge fan just because it takes the stress out. It takes, the pressure off the actual process. It's not like that one person has to kind of make all the decisions and then just kind of worry about it. Also, again, as I said, I'm a huge fan of women being involved in the jewelry process, making, because, again, you want it to be a surprise, but you don't want it to be a bad surprise. And unfortunately, sometimes that does happen. And unless, sometimes you have, women are okay with, they're happy with what they get. They say thank you politely, but then at the same time, maybe inside that they know that's not what they want. And sometimes they do speak out about it and they end up, remaking the ring or maybe, sort of altering it a little bit. But again, I think if, especially that your bride-to-be is very specific about what she wants, I think it's definitely a good idea. And you can always keep an element of surprise for afterwards, right? So you can create the ring together and then the actual proposal could be the surprise.
Mm-hmm. I actually like that because you have to wear this ring every day for the rest of your life. And if you don't like it, and every time you look down, you're like, I wish I had an oval. I hate this, like square cut or whatever. Like it's better to speak up or to be involved in the process to like limit the disappointment.
Mm-hmm. And also I think to do with, I've worked with clients before where actually figuring out the finger size is like a stressful part with it that they didn't even realize was a thing. And in that case, I guess, try to figure it out somehow and try to get a friend involved or something. But if you can't, then going larger, I would say, is always a better choice because you can it's easier to size a ring down rather than try to size it up. So definitely, think about the finger size. If you can't figure it out, then I can definitely help. There's some little tricks that we can do to like figure it out.
Nice. That's good to know that there's like some tricks around. Like, cause I was thinking, like, how would someone figure that out?
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously ring shopping, finding a diamond, it can be super stressful. What, I guess, besides from, talking about budget and coming with some sort of idea, what are your tips for couples throughout the process?
Mm-hmm. So my biggest tip would be to keep an open mind. So there is a lot of information out there, and sometimes that can be a good thing. Sometimes it can be an overwhelming thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's nice to sort of educate yourself and, especially sort of get to know the terminology, all the clarity and the colors and the cuts and stuff. So it's good to kind of have the basics kind of in your head just because it helps. But at the same time, don't get too specific about what you want. I know sometimes people, will go online just to, websites that you can create like build a ring online. So they go on there and, you know, they punch in their budget and it comes up with certain qualities, for example. And then they'll say, you know, oh, my budget is good for like a VS2F stone. And then they come to me like, I want to VS2 stone. And I'm like, well, how did you get that? Right? Like, is it specific, like, why? So then, you know, if you get that in your head and you're very specific about what you want, it can be a good thing, but it can be a challenging thing. So I think keeping an open mind is definitely one big tip. Another one is not to compare you know, yourself to other people. So for example, you have a friend who just got engaged and she got you know, a 2-carat stone, and now you feel you have to get a 2-carat stone, or you maybe everybody, you know, has a diamond and you kind of feel weird about maybe getting like a morganite ring. So it's kind of just really try to figure out, you know, it is going to be, as you said, for the rest of your life, and you stuck on one idea and just sort of, you know, really focus on that.
Yeah.
I love when you say not to compare yourself to other people. Like, that is huge in this industry. Everyone's comparing themselves to this person's wedding, this person's ring. I need this. It's like Instagram can be so good, but so toxic at the same time. You have to have what you love, what's your style, what like you can afford as a couple. And so I love that you said that.
And what works for you too. I feel like the size shouldn't matter, because, you know, it's such like, you know, it should be more symbolic than, you know, the size of, you know, my friend got a 2-carat, like you said, and, you know, now I need a 3-carat or something like that. And it shouldn't go down that path, but I know it does sometimes, but I'm glad that you said that.
And it's okay, you know, people do say to me, you know, for example, you know, my friend got a 2-carat, but they like what it looks like on their hands, right? Like I personally have quite small hands, so I can probably get away with like a smaller stone. But some people maybe, again, with the bigger hands, they feel like they have to get a bigger stone because otherwise it looks weird. So, and again, there's different options we can choose from as well. For example, if a diamond is not in the kind of out of the budget, then we can look at other, you know, colorless gems or even colored stone gems that you know, can fit into that budget. If you are looking for a big ring, a big stone, then we can definitely, you know, work around that. But you just have to tell me, right? Like, size is important to me. I don't care about the quality. Like, this is what I focus on. Then that is good to know as well.
Absolutely. So why do you think that couples should say yes to colored gemstones, maybe over diamonds or other like options out there?
So I'm again, I'm a bit biased in the sense that I love colored gemstones, and if you go to my Instagram, you'll see there's a lot of color. So I'm always trying to get people to you know, swing them that way. But I think there's a few different reasons you can say yes to color gemstones. Mainly, if you're looking for something very unique, something very different, because color gemstones do, even blue sapphires come in such different range of color. Or if you want sapphires come in all colors of the rainbow. So if you're looking for a pink or a yellow or green sapphire, there's different shades of even those shades. So if you're looking for something super unique that no one else is going to have, definitely go for a colored gem. Also, if you want to make a statement and you see yourself maybe as like an alternative bride, that's definitely a reason. And to add a pop of color to everyday life sort of thing, if that's your vibe, then that's definitely a reason. Also, as I mentioned before, if, for example, you were looking for a diamond, but essentially it's not in your budget, you can get a larger colored gem compared to a diamond, just because diamonds are considered more rare, but also because they're so popular. So there's you're paying a premium for certain diamonds as well. So if you're looking for a larger stone, for example, for your budget, you can get a 1-carat diamond, but you can maybe get a 2 or even 3-carat sapphire or morganite or different gem. If you're looking for a big statement piece, that could be another reason to say yes to a color gemstone. Also, if you're a fan of fancy shapes, so anything that's not round, so like an oval or a pear shape maybe, gemstones actually come in all those different shapes and sizes, and there's more of them available. Whereas with diamonds, a lot of them are cut into round shapes, again, because of the supply and demand, essentially. So if you're looking for a large fancy shape like an oval or pear shape, you sometimes might say yes to a color stone in that case as well.
I didn't know that. Wow.
I love it. My Yeah, one of my girlfriends just got engaged too, and she has a beautiful, I don't know what kind of stone it is, but it's like a blue color on a gold band, and it's stunning. And I'm like, this is so her, so them. Like, I'm so glad that they went with something kind of out of the box and unique. And I was like, this is so you guys. I'm glad you went with something that, you know, rang true to them as a couple.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah.
So, what is the difference between, like, obviously diamond, gemstone, and then you said morganite? Is that kind of like, yeah, explain maybe the difference between them, maybe price wise or like description wise for people?
Yeah, so morganite, I just mentioned it because it's just a popular stone nowadays. It's like a peachy. Yeah, so basically, sorry, start with, we have the diamonds, which are most of the time they're colorless or white.
Right.
Then you have gemstones. So you have, you know, sapphire, emerald, rubies. Those are the big three. Those are the, you know, big stones that people go for. Morganite is a peachy stone. It's actually the stone that I'm wearing. I have a necklace and earrings. It's like a peachy stone. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's gold. So if you're a fan of rose gold, and that's, you know, it suits my skin tone really well. So if you, you know, if you're looking for something kind of a delicate peachy pink, instead of getting, you know, a pink diamond, which is fairly expensive, a peach sort of morganite is a good way to go. But you have to also consider the durability. So, you know, diamonds and sapphires are perfect for every day. Morganite's a little bit softer, so it's, you know, it's a stone, it's good for an engagement ring, but you have to just maybe pay a little bit more attention to what you do. So if you do maybe a lot of, you know, gardening or baking, then probably it's not going to be the stone for you, just because you're more likely to damage it. Yeah, so it's actually, yeah, morganite's been popular for the last few years. It's fairly inexpensive, but it's still considered, you know, a precious stone. But again, people love that kind of peachy kind of almost skin tone colors, then that's definitely for you. Other stones, you know, you have you know, stones like, for example, your amethyst and citrine, which is a family from the quartz family. I wouldn't recommend those for every day, just because they are a bit on the softer side. So it's important to consider what your lifestyle is, right? Where do you work? Where you're going to wear it? Or, you know, if you sort of most of the time spend of your time at home, you don't work that much with your hands, maybe you can get a softer stone. And these are the kind of things that we talk about when we're creating the gem. So you know, if you, for example, maybe you're a nurse and you don't even wear your ring that much, so it can either be like, you can get then a big expensive ring because you're not going to wear it that much, so you'll only wear, you know, special occasions, or maybe you just don't even want a gemstone at all, so you might just get a wedding band, or, you know, like a stacking ring that has the small diamonds around, but maybe it doesn't have like a center stone. So, yeah, there's a lot of choices to choose from. I'm personally a fan of natural stones that are, you know, mined out of the ground, but there's also a lot of man-made options, like synthetic or man-made diamonds, which you know, do sometimes work out to be a little bit cheaper, but they're just not as valuable because they are created in a lab. So again, it just depends on how you feel about gemstones and diamonds and what they look like aesthetically, and again, budget wise, and also durability as well.
Amazing. I think the moral of the story is you see an expert like yourself, and I feel like, yeah, people don't know half the stuff that you've already explained, and it's just, yeah, it's nice to know that there's people like you out there that are just like, show me what you want and I can give you like an array of options, because like you said, you kind of go to these, you know, ring places and it's more of like a transaction rather than like an interaction, and making it fun and like being able to shop around. Like, we didn't do much shopping when we picked our ring together, but it still felt very like, I kind of had an idea, but it still felt very like transactional. Whereas, you know, coming to someone like you, I feel like that would be such a fun process.
And it all comes down to personal preference. Like, you have to do what's your style, your budget, everything like that. And sounds like there's so many options out there.
And it also, for some people, it becomes part of the story as well, right? So when they tell the story of the proposal, they can also tell the story of, you know, creating this piece together. And it can be almost like a, you know, special bonding experience, right? Because you both get to do that together. And it's, you know, if you want to be a part of it, I think with probably the wedding planning as well, right? If one of the people doesn't necessarily want to be involved, then that's okay as well. But if actually maybe they will be, or they'll be interested in finding out all different things about the gemstones, then I'd love to share that as well. Because as you said, you know, sometimes you go to the stores and unfortunately some of the salespeople are just trained in sales process. They're not necessarily trained in the gemology, which, you know, it's just it's completely different experience, and it's a different type of you know, work and process as well.
Completely, yes. So tell us how long like a typical process would be. Obviously, it's kind of different for each ring custom piece, but typically, like, how long would it take to create like a custom engagement ring per se?
Yeah, so yeah, as you said, it will depend on a few different things. So mainly it'll depend on the design, the gemstone, and also the time of the year. So yeah, so I'm sure for you guys as well, like there's comes, you know, an engagement season or a wedding season. So a lot of, you know, weddings happen in, I'm sorry, I don't know when weddings happen. A lot of the engagement happens in at Christmas, right? So then, for example, I have a cutoff sort of by the end of September. I'd like to get all my custom pieces started. So it does take sometimes, you know, a while. So if you're looking at something that's kind of fairly straightforward, for example, you're looking at a, you know, a 1 carat round diamond in a simple band, so a solitaire with just the 1 stone. That can take between 6 and 8 weeks to complete during, you know, normal time of the year. So it still takes a little bit of time. So do aim for about 2 months. If you are looking for something a bit more kind of intricate design, a bit more, you know, time will be spent on the design, or for example, you're looking for a rare gemstone like an alexandrite, right? For example, you're looking for something really rare, it might take a few extra weeks to source a gemstone like that. So then it might actually take between 10 and 12 weeks. And again, as I said, depending on when it is in the year, towards, you know, anything after September will actually be made for the following year. So if you're planning like a Valentine's Day proposal, you can still, you know, plan it in October, but over the Christmas holidays as well, the jewelers take their time off as well, right? So I think sometimes we forget that we're also kind of like, everybody takes their time off. So anything, you know, again, for kind of more intricate design, 10 to 12 weeks, and something a little bit more simple, straightforward, is about 6 to 8.
No, that totally makes sense. And you do all the designs and meet with all the clients on your own, or do you have like a team behind you?
So I meet one-to-one with the clients, and then I have a designer and a CAD designer who will do the sketches or the sketches online, and then I will meet with the client, explain what has been done, and then, you know, they'll say, for example, I want to add some diamonds here, I want to take the diamonds away, and then I'll go to the designer, and then they'll redo the sketch, because a lot of the time they don't actually want to work with private clients. So I do all the dealing with people, and then I kind of you know, focus on kind of making the experience, just so they're dealing just the one person. So again, as I said, so, you know, they don't get kind of like overwhelmed by different people they have to contact. So, I mean, I can sketch a pretty decent design, but I think sometimes I'll just leave it to the professionals to do that part.
You sound busy enough already.
Yeah, that's fair.
Can you explain the difference between clarity, cut, and color?
Yes. So, again, as I said, we sometimes become sort of self-educated online about things, but essentially the clarity is what is one of the qualities that we're looking at that's inside the gemstone. So any inclusions in the diamond. So for example, sometimes you'll get like black or white dots, which are usually crystals. You might get little lines inside the gem, which are essentially, they're called feathers. So they're essentially like little breaks within the stone. So it's a completely natural thing for inclusions to be inside a diamond, because as they grow, you know, they get these inclusions from kind of like the growth period. So and that's actually what helps us identify diamonds as natural, is that we know that they have inclusions in them. Then we know that it's actually a diamond that came from the earth. So sometimes, you know, people don't want to see any inclusions. They think it's kind of distraction, or they like them. So you know, if you want a diamond that doesn't have any inclusions, it's higher up on the clarity grade, it is going to be more rare and expensive. So just to keep in mind. So they are graded on a scale from I for included and up to flawless. So through I for included, then SI for slightly included, VS and VVS, so very slightly included and very, very slightly included. So it's really just talking about the inclusions. And actually, you know, if you're looking at a stone without any magnification, any, you know, microscope or jeweler's loupe, if you're looking at an SI stone, you are not very likely to see anything in there, unless you're a professional. So SI is like a good clarity to go for, especially if you're looking for a good like combination of quality and value. So again, if you're not too bothered about the see the inclusions, and sorry is like a good place to start. If you're looking for something that's going to be, you know, sort of not noticeable without any equipment, then I would go higher up on the scale. When we're talking about the color, we're talking essentially about colorless gems, so colorless, sorry, diamonds, and the lack of color. So it's graded on a scale, an alphabetical scale from D to Z. So D is the highest color. It doesn't have any color, sort of yellow or brown tints. So it's a white, you know, colorless gem. So then D, E, F is usually what I recommend if you're looking for just a pure white stone. GH colors might start to look a little bit kind of yellow or have that brownish tint to them, which again, unless you compare, you know, the D and the G together, you might actually not notice them, especially if you're not an expert. And again, GH is a good place for like a value for your money, like a kind of, if you are looking maybe for like a bit of a budget stone. And then EF, if you want that, excuse me, the white color, and the D color is, you know, it's the top of the line there. I don't necessarily always recommend it just because you're usually paying a premium just to say you have a D colored stone. So EF for like white stone, GH if you want a little bit of a money saver there. Anything below G and H, I wouldn't necessarily recommend because you do start seeing that yellowish tint, which is a lot of the times kind of not wanted, especially if you start putting that stone into a yellow gold. It'll become more obvious that it's kind of like, it's not going to be a canary yellow diamond that's going to look beautiful. It's going to have that kind of murky looking color. So, so EF sort of higher up, and then GH on the sort of less expensive. And the cut, usually we're talking about the shape of the stone, so round, oval, emerald cut, whatever it is from the shape, and also the way the stone is cut, the way it sparkles. And you know, thanks to modern technology, we actually really like it that most of the stones are cut by lasers and they look amazing. So you know, very good, excellent cut. It's super easy to choose from somewhere in that area.
Nice.
I love it. I'm just over here like analyzing my diamonds. Like, what is this?
Right? I'm like, I can't remember. Like, we went and picked it up together, but I'm like, I don't remember what was chosen in the end. You know, I'm like, oh, I should go look back at my little piece of paper that I have from here.
I'm like, am I a GH? I don't think I'd be a D,
We're gonna
but
do that tonight. Maybe tell us about like some of the trends you're seeing now when it comes to rings and diamonds. I feel like, is it kind of always changing the trends, or does it stay pretty like, you know, classic for the most part?
Yeah, so most of the diamonds, you know, the really popular ones do tend to be round diamonds set in white gold. It's a lot, you know, it's very sort of simple traditional design, but it's also classic and modern. So a lot of people, especially if they're making a surprise proposal, they'll go for something sort of more classical and traditional like that. In the last couple of years, I've noticed, or a few years really, we've noticed a change that oval and pear shapes and sort of other fancy shapes are becoming more popular. I think some people, especially who are looking for that vintage look, they'll go towards something a little bit more maybe like elongated and curvy, so like a pear shape and oval, or maybe like an elongated cushion. But actually this year I've noticed there's kind of like a new trend coming along towards more like emerald cuts and more like geometric shapes. So anything that's going to be maybe like radiant cut, so that's like a square princess with the corners cut off. Or an usher cut, which is basically a square emerald cut. So anything kind of basically geometric, a bit more like Art Deco style. That's what I'm seeing things are going. Also like multi stone rings, so like 3 stone rings where you have a stone, you know, a bigger stone in the middle, maybe like an emerald cut in the middle, and 2 small emeralds on the side, or an emerald cut and maybe like little baguettes on the side. So something a bit more kind of geometrical and Art Deco for sure is coming around. I think it's going to be big for 2023.
I like that style. It reminds me like kind of, it's a little vintagey, because that's how like my mom's ring was. Like she had, or she still has it, like 1 bigger stone in the middle and then like 2 on the sides.
Yeah,
I like that coming back.
Everything always comes back.
Yeah. Same with wedding trends. It's like, oh, we saw this, 5 years ago. Here it is, back again.
I think it's just important also to mention that, if you are somebody who follows trends, to just make sure that you don't love that style just because it's trendy or just for now, and then you will enjoy it for the rest of your life almost. I mean, it's hard to guess because, things change, and you can always upgrade and change your ring in the future. Yeah. But I also suggest that, if there is a certain style that you see and you like, that's more kind of trendy, we can always create you a custom piece that's going to be, maybe like a right hand ring or a cocktail ring, so you can still enjoy a trend, but it's not going to be your everyday engagement ring.
I like that. I like that a lot, because you don't want to like be in the trend and then you like look down 5 years and you're like, why did I choose? Like there was one point in life I was obsessed when it first came out with the Moissanite, the peachy pink one. And then like, I was like, I don't think I'm going to like that for the rest of my life. I think it's just a right now obsession.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because same with wedding trends as well. It's like, do you love this right now? Or is this, you're going to look back on your wedding photos and be like, wow.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Not, but
I think you told us most of the services that your business offers, but was there anything that we missed that your business offers that people should know about?
So in terms of like the creation of the custom, semi-custom, and ready to wear, which is on my website. And actually, if you go into my website, there's a lot of information there about, myself and my services. And also I recently added a frequently asked question page. So there's a lot of questions that I feel like people asking all the time. So then it's there to find out not just about the process, but just, again, with timelines and just how long things takes and what the actual, steps are. So there's like, 10 steps to your custom or semi-custom engagement ring. Also, I have a blog there, so I talk about different gemstones, different trends. There's a lot of different sort of nuggets of information, and also something, there's this blog about like how to choose the perfect gemstone for me, or how to choose the perfect shape for me. So there's a lot of that kind of information there that I think will help you choose whether we decide to work together or not, or you go to somewhere else. I'm always happy to share the information, because essentially I want to spread the correct information and educate people to help them with the process, which I know can be very overwhelming.
Amazing. Yeah, it's good. I'm glad you have all of that on your website, because like you said, there's so much information, especially when people get on Pinterest. There's like so many ring things on there. And even I've seen things and I'm like, I don't think that's right. So yes, please use Irina's website as a resource, everyone. But I guess, why don't you tell everyone your website and where they can find you online, and a little bit more information before we kind of wrap things up?
Yeah, so Tsarina Gems .com is the website. I hope you guys added to maybe the show notes, so that
we will for sure, and we'll add it to the Instagram and everything like that as well.
Yeah, so that's my website, and then at Tsarina Gems is the Instagram. Also, I'm on LinkedIn if somebody's looking for more like a professional platform to check me out on. And again, once you go into the website, there's also another page that has some other interviews that I've done before, maybe like articles I've been mentioned in, or other podcasts. So it's sort of in one place, so you can find a lot of information there, just to get familiarized with each other and sort of make you feel a bit more comfortable about what I do.
And can you do consultations all over, or do you just do them in Toronto?
So actually, most of especially the first consultations, they take place over Zoom, just because also COVID, a lot of the kind of in-person wasn't really available at the time. But so mainly in Toronto in person. I do, thanks to modern technology, I do work with people all over the world. So then we usually send images or videos of gemstones over WhatsApp, or again Zoom, or whatever it is that we would choose to work with. But and then I work with people all over the world, so in terms of shipping, we can sort that out to different countries as well. But yes, mainly in person in Toronto.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much. That was amazing. I feel like I learned a lot, so I hope everyone listening, this helps steer them in the right direction when it comes to ring shopping, even like their bands, and just a little bit more information about the industry and how the process works. So thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to following you on Instagram and seeing some more of your beautiful creations.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This has been great to find out a bit more about what you guys do as well.
Yes,
Amazing.
thank you. It was so informative.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Okay, I'm just gonna pause it there. Hold on one sec. How do I stop this? Stop record.